When I was a kid, I always had this one dream, building my own video game. And last week, it actually hit the App Store. It started as a game jam project which I joined for fun. But in the end, I was so hooked into it that I wanted to see it live and in other people's hands. And the kind of crazy part is here that really with just one tool, I was able to turn this into a native mobile app. And the whole process really took just 1 hour. The game runs on Vue.js and Three.js. I use Firebase for the backend to use authentication, real-time database, all the shenanigans, but all of that is really optional. You can use plain JavaScript or React or any other framework you want to use. The key is that you have a web app that you want to turn now into a mobile app. Before I jumped into the whole process of turning it into a mobile game, I wanted to see actually if I can turn this into a desktop application. Back then, like a couple of years ago, the only real option we had was to use Electron. Every Electron app was shipped with a full Chrome and Node.js runtime, so the entire app was bloated to at least 100 megabytes. And don't get me started on the RAM usage. But when I searched for new options, I found Tauri. Tauri is a framework that wraps your frontend in a lightweight native shell. So instead of bundling Node.js and Chrome into your web app, it uses the system web view, which is already on, pretty much any platform I know of, and it compiles your logic into a lean Rust binary. But really the most important part for me was, how is the dev experience? Because I know from other frameworks for cross-platform development like React Native, it can be a real pain to get it working even on one device. So to test things out, I tried to build a Mac app first to see how it works and how the bundle size is looking like. And what surprised me is like how simple it really is to add Tauri to your project. You basically just run 2 commands to add it to your project and then get a native Mac application out of it. And the best part is Tauri is living right next to your project. So instead of building my project around Tauri to get cross-platform support, Tauri is just living right next to my project and it uses the output of my project to build the native applications for every other platform. So getting the Mac app was really kind of easy, and building the iOS app was a little bit more complicated, but if you follow these steps, it's also quite easy to do. I didn't really plan to build an iOS app. The actual plan was to get a Mac app and publish it to the Steam store. But since the entire process was so easy, I thought, hey, why not give it a try and see how it is to build an iOS app. So getting your app onto the App Store sounds intimidating, but it's also actually pretty easy if you follow these steps. First, of course, you will need an Apple developer account. That's like $99 per year. Once you're in, you will be using a few tools inside their dashboard. Obviously, we have to set up our entire app, which means what is the app doing, what's the name of the app, the description, what is the target audience. But there are 3 important parts that we need to build our game and publish it to the App Store. We need certificates, identifiers, and provisioning profiles. You can find them all under resources. We need an identifier for our app. This can be anything, totally up to you. I have used the name of the game, and it must match my Tauri config, which I will get to in a couple of minutes. And we need our provisioning profiles. Once you've filled out all the information about your app, we can go back to our dev environment to add the certificate and make the changes we need to build the actual app. You actually need Xcode to sign your application, but really only to sign the application, nothing else. So I opened Xcode, selected the profile we just created, and that's about it. Inside Tauri, we need to drop in our provision file that we downloaded, and I also created an entitlement list file with the information about the identifier. Once we have everything in place, we can run this command. This will build our app, and at the end of the process, we will have an IPA file. This is also the file we will now upload to the App Store. To upload the app to the App Store, I had to use a tool called Transporter, which I could download in the Mac App Store. Kind of weird that I have to do this, but I don't know. I just did it, it worked, so there you go. So basically you open Transporter, you select the build we just created and then hit deliver. Kind of weird that we have to do this, but I don't know, it is what it is. It takes a moment until the app is really available. You can then add yourself to TestFlight. This is what I did to see if the application is really running and everything is working correctly. And then you can select the build we just uploaded and publish it to the App Store. The last step really took quite some time to figure out how to improve the performance, how to get the controls correctly on an iPhone. I think I had like 20 builds or something before I was really confident that this will go through the review of the App Store. But the game now runs pretty well. Everything is working, the leaderboard is working correctly, and even my brother jumped in and beat my high score. That little traitor. But yeah, TestFlight is really a great way to test out your application to make sure everything is working correctly, and you can even add other people's in there to verify it's also working for them and everything is good to go public. If you have built a web app, getting it to the iOS store isn't ridiculously hard anymore. But yeah, this was a really fun project. From building my own game to creating a native Mac application and at the end having it on my phone is kind of cool. If you got a web app and want to reach more people or just build a native app out of it, it got really easy to do this. Tauri makes it ridiculously fast and the build process is really clean. The app is lightweight and now my childhood dream lives on my phone. And what really is life without fulfilling the dreams we once had as a kid? And if you want to see how I built the entire game with the help of AI and the tools I have used, you should check out this video. That's it from my side. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye.